Today, we will be discussing the life of Deputy Outlaw George McClellan Clell Adams, 1864 through 1885. There are many cases of where a man would be a lawman in one county and a wanted man in the next. Deputy George McClellan Adams was one such man that would be both in the same county. He would join the ranks of Cap Hatfield, Wyatt Earp, and Pat Garrett, to name a few. His name is very infamous in Letcher County, Kentucky, and his grave remains a mystery to this day. However, he is my great-great-uncle, and I want to tell his tale as correctly as possible. Combining family history with what is commonly known about his life, we will try to piece together as truthful a picture as we can about Clell. Please get out your magnifying glasses and manila folders as we try to sort fact from fiction about the life of George McClellan Adams. Early life. According to the 1880 Census and Family History, George McClellan Clell was born to George Washington Adams and Sarah Jane Johnson Adams sometime in 1864. He was 16 at the time of the census was taken. At the time of the census, he had three brothers named Henry Clay, who was 18, David F., or sometimes called David Johnson Adams, who was 4, and John Wallace, who was 8. John Wallace's name is misspelled in the census as Jollonn Adams. Clell's 4 sisters' names were Elizabeth Adams, who was 19, Clarice Adams, who was 12, Margaret Adams, who was 10, and Victoria Adams, who was 2. We would later find that in 1892, the typhoid would strike the family, killing David and Victoria and leaving several others sick for a long time, such as Henry Clay. Please see the story of Killing Rock or the Pound Gap Massacre for more information about Henry. Another infamous brother of Clell's is his brother, my great-great-grandfather, John Wallace. He will be added to the list at a later date. However, John's release from prison after serving 2 years did cause a lot of controversy in Burdine, Kentucky at that time. According to the memoir of Clifton Branham, Clell was married to the stepdaughter of Mr. Venters. His brother-in-law was John, also known as Rand or Rand Smallwood. John had married Elizabeth, Clell's older sister. We have been currently unable to find if they had any children by the union. Reputation. Clell would become a deputy of Letcher County while he was still in his teen years. From both the legends and family traditions, Clell was not a good person. His job was to escort prisoners from Whitesburg Jail in Letcher County, Kentucky, to the Wise County Jail in Wise, Virginia, or escorting them in the opposite direction. According to my cousin, Jim Adams, who is heavily quoted in the March 28, 2018 Mountain Eagle, quote, he'd get them to the top of Pound Gap and ask them, do you want it running or standing, suggesting that he would kill them whether they tried to get away or not, unquote. According to Jim, quote, my dad said killing a man didn't bother Clell any more than killing a fly, unquote. Jim Adams also said, quote, he'd go home and go to sleep like nothing had happened, unquote. The family tradition holds that Clell killed as many as 7 men before he reached the age of 21, and still to this day is considered one of the most deadly men to cross in Letcher County, Kentucky. Retribution. Clell would not live long according to Letcher County tradition. There are 2 traditional causes for his death, and then there is the record that is in the newspapers. A direct source at the time is the memoir, The Life, Crimes, and Confessions of Clifton Branham, written before his execution for the death of his wife. Branham writes, quote, Clell Adams had married a stepdaughter of Mr. Venters. Rant Smallwood had killed Clell Adams. Rant, being a friend and an old schoolmate of mine, told me that he got $100 and an improved .38 Smith & Wesson pistol to kill Clell Adams, unquote. According to family tradition, Clell died at the hands of his brother-in-law, Rant, sometimes called Rand Smallwood. While attending a funeral, some traditions say that he was going to church at Pound Gap, Kentucky. Smallwood and Clell were resting on the tree stump, Sometimes it is a log in the stories. Smallwood wrapped an arm around the back of Clell, pulled out his pistol, and shot him in the temple, thus ending the life of Clell instantly. In the family tradition, Clell's hat band followed the path of the bullet and got lodged. The second story comes to us from Sam Adams, a writer for the Mountain Eagle. He tells us that Clell was killed near Dorton Post Office by a man whose brother he had killed shortly before his death. This man happened to be a Fleming. There are reports of an Adams-Fleming feud, but so far we have been unable to find very much information about it other than it existed. However, according to Sam, Clell was about 21 to 22 years old at his passing. The record from several newspapers all make the same statement concerning the death of Clell. It reads the following, quote, John Smallwood, a prominent citizen of Letcher County, Kentucky, met McClellan Adams, a desperado, and a quarrel ensued, in which pistols were drawn and Adams was killed. Smallwood has not been arrested, as it was conceded that he acted in self-defense, unquote. Going by the dates on the newspapers, this would have placed his death sometime within the last 2 weeks of February to the first week of March of 1885. The Devil John Wright connection. It has been said that he is one of the favorite deputies of Devil or Bad John Wright, but there is no actual proof that Wright was a marshal during this time in history. It is said that when Clell died that John personally made sure that he was buried. The legend goes that there was a homemade concrete slab placed over Clell's grave with the date of his birth and death upon it. It has been a goal of many family members and historical buffs to find his final resting place, as it is currently unknown as to its location. A very special thank you. We would like to thank everyone who's spoken to us about Clell and given us little pieces of information about him, as most of his story has been left to the sands of time. And as of right now, he has truly earned his spot as a true Appalachian outlaw lawman. We wanted to recognize everyone who has helped us with the history of Clell Adams. While it was not a lot of information that was available, we were able to find things through conversations. Thank you to each one of you. Sam Adams, Katie Adams, Elieen Williams Sanders, Henrietta Adams, Judy Brock, Stevie Conley, Steve Fleming, and Vicki McPeaks Tackett. This story may be updated at a later time as more information about Clell becomes available. We at Kentucky, Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian Outlaws. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky, Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries of Appalachian history.